Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Breakthrough TV. I'm your host, Rachel Renee. Joining me this morning is my lovely co host, Sarah G. Hey, Sarah. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? If you're
I'm
not
good.
already, be sure to follow Sarah G on Facebook at Way to Go, Sarah.
Oh, it's
It's
way to go,
Saturday
Sarah
morning.
G.
Huh?
Make sure they put the G on the end of that.
Way to go, Sarah G. That's right. You see it on the screen. It's Saturday morning, and we are so glad that you decided to begin your day with us. If it's your first time tuning in, welcome, because we are single women discussing real issues and providing real breakthrough. On Breakthrough TV, we provide true insight and inspiration from the Word of God to help our viewers push through life and be set free from past hurt, pain, depression, and anxiety. We share conversations and experiences that bring some light for someone who may feel all hope is lost, who may be feeling like giving up, or just have questions that they need answers to. At Breakthrough TV, we are here to help. Don't go anywhere. Call your ladies and tell them it's time for Saturday mornings with Breakthrough TV. Okay, Sarah. So how is hold on, let me start. Let me silence everything I got going on over here. How was your week?
My week's been really great. So I'm going to excuse myself every now and then. I'm actually at a retreat. The Army has decided to lovingly pay for me to go to Charleston, South Carolina to learn about 7 effective ways of communicating with people. So it's been great. I am in a beautiful hotel right now, which is why you may be in and out because the Wi-Fi isn't 100%. But and I'm doing this on my phone in front of everybody that's here, so a little nervous, and I'm crocheting when I get nervous. So
That's funny. Well, it's cool, and I hope that that sounds like a really really fun and exciting vacation because it's really what it is—a vacation where you're able to
mhm.
not only learn and grow, but also be able to enjoy yourself as well. I love it. I love it, and it's already April. Today is April 2nd, so we've been at this for almost a month. Today marks our fifth episode. For me, that's a big deal. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh
Sarah can't
yeah,
be all excited because Sarah's in the public. So she already said she was a little bit nervous. So I
I
forgot.
could be excited,
I,
girl.
I forgot. I forgot. So, okay. So in April, it's Resurrection Month, and we want to honor the risen King on this month. So
Yes.
let me. I went online and I found this beautiful graphic, and I want to share it with everyone. So I'm just going to turn my camera off for a moment. Can you hit your camera real quick, Sarah?
Yeah, I got you.
Look at this. Look, by his wounds we are healed. By his wounds we are healed. Isaiah 53 and 5. This is the NIV version. Man, when I think about the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. I thank God for saving me. Um, Man, me and Sarah, we were talking before the show started. Come back, Sarah. We were talking before the show started, and we were just talking about how. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this. Let me get this off the screen. We were just talking about how awesome God has been to us, and like yesterday, I was just studying and preparing for the upcoming Eliminate Distractions workshop. Which, if you have not signed up for the workshop, be sure to sign up for the workshop. It is scheduled to begin April the 12th, and
Woo woo.
man, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be dynamic. Matter of fact, let me give y'all a sneak peek at this workshop. This what is it? The workbook. The workbook is it's lovely, man. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. So if you have not already signed up for the workshop, be sure to do so. You can do that at my website, rachelrenee.co. Um, man, man, it's gonna be. I'm excited. It's gonna be dynamic. God is really, really doing a new thing, and it is gonna be great. So, um, just really, really excited about that. So, um, Today we let's just jump right into the show, man. I'm so full this morning. So today, this month, in the month of April, we are talking about dating. Our topic this month is dating. And
Hmm.
today we want to discuss what's the purpose of dating? Like why do we date? What's the purpose of us dating?
Mm.
Oh,
Well,
Sarah, quiet
before
for
I,
y'all.
yeah, well, before I dive right in, I wanted to comment something on the scripture you shared.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Because no, you good. Because it often, I hear this when it comes to like physical illness or deficiencies, like by his stripes you were healed, by his stripes you're healed. And that's beautiful to say. But I think often what goes neglected is our emotional, our heart, because we are healed by that too. Like he heals us there too. And often we forget, and especially when we talk about dating and relationships and things that come with emotions, um, I feel it's really important to say he heals us in those areas.
Hmm.
He heals us so we're ready for that person to when we step into that relationship he has ready for us. And it takes time. I mean, we sit here and talk about it, but I've been single for 3 years now. Officially single for 3 years, divorced, separated for four, um, and it's taken that time. I needed that time to heal, to grow, to be closer to God. But we were talking earlier about this too. God has really spoiled me, um, and I know Rachel, he spoiled you too, because I kind of a little bit feel sorry for the man he has for me because he done spoiled me. I'm like, what you mean? You ain't. What do you mean you ain't buying me a jet? I don't understand. Let me just go talk to my dad because
Okay.
I got it like that. I'm daddy's
Okay.
girl. Like I have never been daddy's girl. I was an orphan growing up. I was adopted by my grandparents. We were really poor, and I never had that. I had a father figure, but I never had my actual dad. So I have no clue what that's like. And then I come into it, and I'm like, I was sitting there thinking this morning when I was getting ready. I was like, I'm a daddy's girl now, and he is
Oh,
spoiling me. And I mean,
um,
I'm just overcome. I'm overcome, and you know what? I don't care. I don't care if anybody's like the people are watching us anyway. We live. He has
okay.
spoiled me. He has spoiled me. I'll share this. I had a bucket list for. I turned 40 in June, and I had a bucket list that said I'm gonna do all these things before I turn 40. This year, I had two things I hadn't done on that bucket list. Now, the reason why this is important to me is because I never thought I could achieve them, whatever they were. Like they were a bucket list of things to do. And one of the things I did back in February was I
Mhm.
went skydiving. Not only did I go skydiving, it was free. Girl, it was free. I'm a reiterate. It was free. I'm looking. My last thing on my bucket list is going out of the country. I've never been out of the country, and it's looking like that's gonna happen before my 40th birthday. So
Mhm.
when I tell you he spoiled me, he spoiled me. So you know, my husband, wherever you at, you better be praying. He.
Get you ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get
Hmm.
ready.
Hmm.
Okay, that's good, Sarah. And like you this week, I was contemplating on. I was contemplating on like, I was like, man, I have I have everything that I could have wanted. What I don't have yet is a husband, but I mean, he's giving me all the signs and signals that he's on his way. So I'm gonna still be patient and wait for him. Um, but I look at my house and I'm like, Lord, this is something that these are things that I asked for, a little while ago, and I'm within less than 5 years, I'm on my second house. Like that's a blessing right there, and that's something that I know I didn't do by myself. It was all God. But if I tie it into our topic, which is what's the purpose of dating, I really feel like we're not supposed to be dating. I feel like we're supposed to be dating the king and allowing the king, God himself, to help cleanse us up and prepare us for our mate.
Hundred
So,
percent.
so I have dated. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I used to love dating. I was like, ooh, yeah. I mean, I would be willing to end a relationship, just begin a new one because it's nothing like fresh. It's nothing like a new, nothing like newness, right? So I'm like, ooh, okay, well, this was fun, but I'm ready to move on to something else. But what was I doing? Like, what I wasn't. It was more along the. For me, it was more. I don't know what I was doing. I just enjoy. I think I just enjoyed the newness of a relationship. I love, being spoiled, and I love, how how the men try to do all they can to try to get you enticed and wanting to be with them, and they're gonna go above and beyond. It's like, well, how long is this gonna last? And then after about 2-3 weeks, you be like, oh, that's it. You done? After about 2 or 3 months, that's it. We finished. Okay, well, this is somebody lasted. See you later. But as I've grown older, and gotten closer to God, I kind of feel like he's like, don't make dating a focus or a priority, because you have issues that you need to work through. You got some hurt and some pain, and the more you start dating and getting these relationships, then you give me more work to do, in a sense. So we put ourselves back into this hole. God pulls us out of it, and then we end up going right back to where we just came from, and put ourselves back in bondage or captivity. Let's just call it what it is, all because we decide that, what, I'm gonna go date. But I don't feel like we're supposed to be dating.
So, years ago, when I first moved to Maryland, um, I joined a single women's group, and there's a verse, and I really want to say it's in Isaiah. It's a chapter, really, but it talks about God being your husband, and I think that's so important to realize that if He is your husband, you're putting Him first, right? But if you have an earthly relationship, that sometimes come interferes with your relationship with God.
Hmm.
So I think that I've thought about it, especially a lot over the last couple months, where I'm like, if I have anything that it interferes with my relationship with God, I don't want it.
That's right.
So I want that relationship to be strong, and if He brings someone along, He brings someone along. But I will not sit here and what's the word I'm looking for? I'll not sit here and look for it anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, because there's a difference between looking for it and being hopeful for it. So, like, when I get excited, talking to God, and He's telling me, my husband's near, or I get excited and I start looking for him. I'm like, where you at? Where you at? Where you at?
Yep, that's a
And
fact.
he don't, I don't meet him yet, obviously, you know. And I'm like, okay, it's not time yet. That's different than going out and looking for him. So I spent 3 years on and off, social dating, online dating, whatever you want to call it. And it was horrible. And when I say this, I mean, it really was. I got some stories behind that. Whew, it was horrible. And God was just like, you don't need that. You don't need that. You know what? I gave you a house. Go fix your house.
Okay.
And when I say this, I mean God gave me a house that was built in 1987. It still has the wallpaper from 1987. Like, there's some things I could do there. Like, go
Hmm.
play with the kids. Go do something else. Cause this, you ain't gonna find him on here. Cause the man you looking for, he gonna be in church. He gonna be in his word. He ain't gonna be on this app.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. Now, I don't think that. I think some people may hear that and be like, "Oh, well, well, I found my husband. My husband and I, we met on, Tinder, or we met on uh, blackpeoplemeet.com, or we met on, whatever app
And
they may have
and
found someone." And
and
we definitely
please,
don't want anybody to feel like, if that
not at
wasn't
all.
the one. Because I
So
mean,
this is
you don't know how the Holy Spirit gonna lead you to find the
right.
meet the one.
This was for me. Like, when I speak, it's for me. It's kind of like, and this is not really a good comparison, but it's kind of like, if your friend is an alcoholic, you don't want to bring alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, I I was like you. I'm addicted to that new feeling, that new
Yeah.
that oh, somebody's interested in me. Oh, I got butterflies. Oh, he just called me pretty, that sort of thing.
Oh.
So you can get that online dating. I can feed that addiction, right? But
Mhm.
what I'm talking about, if you don't have that, and online dating, God isn't telling you that that isn't for you, then by all means, online date. God told me it wasn't for me. And then
Right.
he showed me several times over. And then finally, that last straw was that last straw because I was like, I will not do it. I will not get involved in a situation like this again, you know, last straw. But I am not saying, it's wrong or anything like that. I'm saying for me, it ain't. It ain't for me at all.
Yeah, and just being mindful of, whatever it is that you believe that God is calling you to, or whatever it is that God is telling you to do, you be obedient to that direction or leading of the Holy Spirit in your life. And just make sure
Because
that it is
he's.
the Holy Spirit, because it's been some
Mm,
times where,
mm,
it's my will, and I'm like, you know what, I think God is telling me to do blah 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 blah, but it was because I was drawn away by my own lust, because the Word of God tells us
mm,
that, when it comes after temptation, it's when we're lusting after things, it draws us away from where it is that God is telling us to, where God is telling us to, what He's telling us to do, or where He's telling us to go.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and I was like, I mean, I've always been adamant about, okay, I'm ready to get married, I'm ready to get married, I'm ready to get married. And then finally I had to stop, I had to ask myself, why do I want to get married? Like, why am I, what's the purpose of this? And really and truly, it was because I'm like, well, he can pay these bills. I had a long list of things he could be doing that I didn't want to do. You can pay these bills. You can keep these kids. I mean, the list went on. So then I had to ask myself, why am I dating? Am I dating to put some of my burden on somebody else, things that I don't want to do? And I think essentially it's probably what we end up doing. We end up saying, okay, well, um, I'm just going to get with John Doe, because John Doe has a whole bunch of money. He got a nice car. He's driving my dream car. So I'm gonna just, tag along with him to drive his car, make it my car, and just, it's basically, honestly, to me, dating is nothing but a huge distraction. Unless you're being led by the Spirit, dating is nothing but a distraction.
No, I 100% agree. So it's hey, hold on just a second.
Were y'all plan on staying for lunch, or were you gonna
Yeah,
kind of
Sarah's in a
just want
retreat.
to check?
She's out in Charleston this weekend. She's hanging out with the big dogs this weekend, living it
Sorry
up,
about that.
living a dream.
Sorry about that. We actually ended our session early, so he was seeing if we were staying for lunch because he didn't want them to prepare food that we're not gonna be here for. So
Yeah.
I apologize. What you were talking about, what do you want a husband for? I think that's been reverberated over the last 3 or 4 years for me. Is I can do these things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
God has just shown me there's a lot of things that I thought I needed a husband for, to pay the
Mm.
bills, to help me with my kids, to
Yeah.
do handyman work around the house, or to buy a house, to provide for me. But what God has shown me is He gives me all those things. He does all those things for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I can do it myself. Like
Yeah.
when you get to that point where you don't want a man for the things that he brings to you. You want a man for his character and his heart for God.
Yep.
That's a totally different level. You get on a
Totally
level
different.
like that, and you ain't settling for somebody who comes along because they got a nice car, or because they got a nice house, or because they pay
That's
your
a
bills.
fact.
You ain't settling for it because you know who you are, and you're grounded in the fact that you are a child of God. And this is male or female, right? You're grounded in the fact that you a child of God, and that's how you walk, and that's how you live. And guess what? My daddy provides for me. I don't need you. Now, would I
Mm.
like you? Yes. Would I like a helper? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I need it? No, because
Yeah.
God provides for me. I'm good on my
Yeah.
own. Until you make me better, I don't need it. That type of level is hard to achieve, and I'm
And
still
it
working
all
on it. I'm not there yet.
and it all comes from a place of surrender. Like just like you said,
Mhm.
when you realize when God tells you like there are so many things. I'm like, how much will it cost? Let me just pay for it. How much is it? Let me just pay for it because I don't want to do it. And God is like, but I've already given you the resources. How come you don't want to do it? When I had bought my house in Missouri, and everything that you could think of was going wrong. I was like, man, Lord, I'm not buying no more houses until I buy one with my husband because this don't make no sense. This is ridiculous. And I mean, lo and behold, I bought another one, and I still ain't married. I was not married, boss. But
God
like,
said, God said, you ain't gonna do what?
okay,
I got you, my friend. I got you. I got you,
okay.
my child. I got you.
So when I think about when I think about the challenges that I went through with my house, I'm like, man, I learned a lot. I learned, first of all, I learned that I could do it. I learned that I could do it because I think sometimes as women, we feel like we have to have a man in order to accomplish some things because of what the media says and you look at other people's relationships that they're like, oh, my husband does this and he does that and he does this and he does that. It's like, man, that's nice right there. Like, let me get a man up
Mhm.
in this house so he can do these things. But sometimes they be
Mm.
in the way.
And sometimes when you really get to know that person, you realize those airs that they put on ain't nothing but some makeup that washes away with their tears. Like if we're being 100% real, no relationship is perfect, and everybody
Hmm.
struggles and has their hard times. And we often look at that relationship and we covet it. Like, oh, look at him. He opened the door for her. Oh, he brought her
Hmm.
flowers. Oh,
Hmm.
like, but
Girl,
you don't
yeah.
know what that behind them closed doors are like either. You don't know
Yep.
that struggle.
Yep.
That's a hard one to step back and be like, you know what? I don't covet that.
But I
Not at
like
all.
that. You use the word covet because
Mhm.
um that's one thing that, it's one of the Ten Commandments, do not covet.
Mhm.
You looking at somebody
Girl,
else
let me.
and you like, oh, their lives are so perfect. I used to in my book, but I'm distracted. I talk about how we oftentimes look at everybody else's life and we feel like, oh, I want that life. Do you really? Do you really? Some people look at me and be like, you're in a great place and you do this and you do that. Do you know the struggle that it took to get to where I'm
Mhm.
at? Do you really?
Mhm. You
Um,
don't want that.
like
You don't want
people
that.
people see things that at the good. Oh, this is good right here, but you didn't see how we got here.
You know. Jesus talked about this when one of the disciples. Not, I'm. I know you'll tell me where exactly it's at because you're better at this than me. But one of the disciples is just like, here, I'll take that cup from you. And Jesus is like, you don't want that.
Do
You
you
don't
know what
want the
you're saying?
suffering. You
Hmm.
you don't know what you're saying. You
Yeah.
don't want that. And I feel like we can relate to that in every day. I have a lot of people that come up to me and they tell me how proud they are of me and how much I've changed, how much they wish they could be like this, that, and the third. And I'm like, listen, you don't want that because you pray to be strong. He don't give you something to be strong about. You pray to be
Yeah.
patient. He don't give you something to be patient about. You pray for these things, but you really, somebody told me a long time ago, you really got to be careful. You got to be very specific in your prayer because when you praying for strength, listen, I wasn't this strong of a person 5 years ago. I wasn't this strong of a person 4 years ago. Like, this strength is born out of adversity. It's hard. When you asking for someone like, I want a relationship like that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want
Hmm.
that. And I often look at that, like I'll see, I work around a lot of married people, and I'll hear that, especially a lot of the guys, they'll say, "Oh, I'm doing this for my wife or whatever, spouse or whatever," and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet," and I'm like, "Okay, but I don't want that," like, mm-mm, God, I know you got something good for me. I ain't praying for that because I don't know what happens
Okay.
on the flip side of that. Like,
Yeah.
you never know. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Like you're
Get that
fine,
one
girl.
crocheting.
So, um, I think dating comes with challenges. It comes with frustration. Is like the purpose of the single life is to be able to get you together. And sometimes I think we feel like, well, if I date, then I can build quicker by being with this person. I can build quicker by I mean, the Bible does say that two are better than one, but we have to
Hmm.
allow him to bring number two to us. We got to allow him to bring us to our number two. And it may not necessarily be your my as you can see, I'm 30. How old am I? I'm 36 years old. So I'm not quite I think I'm getting there as far as like, being prepared for marriage, but it took me a while to get to this place. And somebody else at the age of 18, 19, you may very well be ready, like you're ready. And God will, bring you to your spouse. And and I've heard so many people talk about how, okay, well, I knew this was the one, like both like the man and the woman. I knew this was the one, immediately. And we dated for 2 or 3 weeks and then we got married. Like those are very. I've heard that in like a lot of older couples. Like I knew this was the one. Like they just knew. Whereas as young people, I think sometimes that we look at what the older people did and we kind of shun it sometimes. Like that don't make sense. That's not how this stuff works. That's not. But I really feel like, for me, I know that when God brings when I feel like you just gonna know. Like I kind of feel like that's just it's what it's gonna be. And so it's not gonna take long for us to be dating, for me to realize that, this is a no-go.
Okay. It don't take long at all. That red
Yeah,
flag pop up. I'm like, see, 3 years ago I would have dated you, but wait, God made me now. That ain't gonna happen. Go
yeah,
ahead and cut this off. But I also think again that comes with the experiences that we have, and we talk about, now this is kind of some old school thinking, but we talk about them relationships that you were just talking about, right? That they saw that person and they just knew that was their person. They didn't have this the sexualism in their society that we have today. They didn't pride um, body counts like we do today.
yeah.
Like that wasn't a thing. And I think a lot of times we are so in our face about things that we like, oh no, we got to go out and experience life. We got to go out and do this, that, and the other. When in all actuality, we don't have to. We can be happy with that one person, but society says we can't be. Like you
Hmm.
can't really be happy with that person until you've lived, until you've experienced all of this yada yada yada, right? But we look at a people who have been married for 80 years and they're like, no, this person made me happy. Did they have their struggles? Absolutely. They had the big blowout fights? Absolutely. A couple nights on the couch, mom's house, whatever? Absolutely. But they got through it.
So the one thing you said was, this person made me happy. And I think that I think when someone comes into our life, when God brings someone into our life, they should add to our happiness, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
already happy. I already have joy. I'm already content,
Mm-hmm.
and I want someone that's going to add to, not take away.
Right.
How many times have you heard of a friend who gets into a relationship with somebody, and she goes from being happy to miserable because this person comes with all this
Mm-hmm.
extra baggage and they're not even ready, and they're trying to take on, it's basically a project. You trying to take on a project
Mm-hmm.
to, oh, I can make him better. I can make him, you can't make nobody more than they want to be. So if your whole purpose
So
of getting with somebody is to change them, you already starting off wrong.
you're already wrong. You're already wrong. And the thing about it is, the thing I have like explored, and because when I say I've dated the gamut, right? I mean, I've tried to fix them. I have. But the one thing God has impressed upon me is that the only person, the only thing, the only power that can change someone is God Himself. Now you can sit here and love someone hard and passionate and just right. You ain't changing them. The only person that's going to change someone is God. And we sit here and we think we get in these habits and these patterns of saying, "Oh, I can make them a better person." You can't. Stop it. Don't do it. You can't. It's going to lead to pain and hurt and disappointment. And you're going to end up more broken than you were before because you couldn't change them and they couldn't love you. But the thing about it is when God brings someone into your life, you're right, they ain't gonna make me happy because I'm already joyous. I'm already happy with God, and I really should take that expression out of my vocabulary. But they will add to that happiness, and sometimes they may take away from that happiness. Like that. That's okay. It's gonna happen, right? But at the end of the day, I am not going to have to change them because God has already changed them. And the way I've really been looking at it is God has slowly changed me and molded me to be the person that I'm supposed to be for the person that I'm supposed to be with. Now, I'm not more focused on let me find him. I'm more focused on let me be ready for him. Fix
That's
me, mold
good.
me, like make me the person I'm supposed to be, not the person I'm supposed to be with. Like I
That's
know
good.
you working on him. I know you fixing him. I pray for him. I do because Lord, he's got the work cut out with me. But I pray that I am ready for him.
Yeah.
That I don't have these triggers, these anxieties, these things that are worldly. I pray that God has stepped in and healed me of those things because by his stripes we're healed. And when I say that, I mean that because we've talked about past relationships. 7 years in an abusive relationship in a toxic marriage that just it almost killed me. Like it wasn't one of those things that you just walk away unscathed from. And I thought I could just jump right back into the dating market. But God was like, no, no, you got some deep issues here. You got some wounds here that you need to heal. So in this process, for me, it's been a long time, right? 4 years is a long time for me. For some people, that's a blink of an eye. That's nothing, right? It's
Yeah.
a long time for me. But in those 4 years, God has taken me and shaped me into a better person, a different person, a stronger person, a more passionate person, a person with courage, and a person with the knowledge and the wisdom of what it is to be in a situation that kills you and to overcome it and to be put back together. And I'm not all the way together because there's still some things. Anyway, God's working on me though, right? God has fixed me because in all this, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not saying I wasn't dating, I'm not saying I wasn't doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. I'm saying that God has worked on me, and it's been a slow process of shaving me down, sanding me down, getting all the rough parts out, cutting it out, and saying, no, we don't need this, no, we don't need that, and putting His pieces into my broken pieces. And we talk a lot about this because I truly feel that that's what God does. I heard a song the other day. It's the new Pink song. What she says is, the cracks are okay because it lets the light in. I heard that song, and then I also heard that like breaking, God breaks you to repair you, right? Like He uses your broken pieces to speak to others, and there's a lot to be said about that. Embracing your brokenness is something that's amazing. Being vulnerable and open to people is something that's amazing because when you're not shamed by the fact that you went through what you went through, Satan don't have a hold on you anymore. And I can tell you, I went from a place where I was sitting on a kitchen floor with a bottle of pills thinking I could just go to sleep to a place where I can see that in somebody and come back and say, hey, no, no, no. Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you where I was at. Because these things don't happen overnight. This healing don't happen overnight. But that brokenness that you're going through right now, that brokenness is something that definitely God can use. And you may not know it, but God will pick you up, will put you back together, and will bring you to a person that is right in the position that you're in and will use you to heal them. And that's an amazing, amazing, amazing thing that God does. But oftentimes we want to hide our brokenness because society wants us to be perfect. I am not perfect. I'm a broken mess. But God has put me back together slowly but surely. He is still working on me. I am still a work in progress. I have a hashtag of way to go Sarah G because I know how far I've come with God. I know that person I was 4 years ago. I know that person that he picked up off the floor and said, "Nope, we gonna get through this." I know that person. You can come back on camera, ma'am. I think I'm done preaching.
Listen, the floor is yours. Um,
Thanks, ma'am.
but no, but you know what? I mean, you said a mouthful, but we definitely have to get to that place where we understand that if we're looking for if we're looking for dating to be our way of elevation, if we're looking for um, somebody else to help us through, if we're looking for somebody else to fill a void, if that's our reason for dating, then we're dating for all the wrong reasons. Um, because the only void filler that we have in life is Christ Himself. And as you spoke about, being in that place of brokenness where God can come in and He can heal you in that place of brokenness. He wants us in that lowly state because that's where He can best work. When we have our guards up, when we are upset, when we're fighting and we're trying to figure things out on our own, we make it more difficult for Him to come in and be able to help us to push through whatever our pains are, whatever our issues are. So I think a lot of times we use dating as a way of finding ourselves. We use dating as a way of healing past hurts. We use dating as a way of I don't want to be alone, therefore I'm just going to be with somebody. We use dating to pass time, and that's not what it's meant to be. So I believe that when God brings you together with someone, that during that time, it's for Him to say, "Hey, you know, Adam meet Eve, and build together, grow together," and you understand, during this small season of dating, that this is where we learn what our vision is for our marriage, our vision is for our family together as we move forward, and um, so, it's that mental preparation of, okay, well, we're going to transition from no longer being single and doing things the way we want to do it and doing things the way that we've been accustomed to doing it because we've been in our single space. And just having that, just being that season of transition into, the married life. But for those who are hurting, for those who are dealing with the fear of being alone, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being neglected. Like when you go to start dating because you have those wounds, such as call it what it is, you're pretty much now like you're a burden to whoever you're with. Because now I got to deal with your emotions, and I got to deal with the fact that if I leave the house, that you want to be with me every step of the way, everywhere I go, or I can't go, spend a moment with my friends without you feeling some kind of way. Like you're not ready to move forward. You need some time to be by yourself. You need time to go through healing. You need time to allow God to help you figure this thing called life out because you're just not ready. And like for myself, I feel like I'm almost in a place of, okay, Rachel, you can do it. It's time to go ahead and jump the broom. But I feel
You
like
said jump the broom.
jump the broom,
I
get
like it.
married. So if
Uh-huh.
I have that one, if I decide that what, like if I had that moment of I'm bored, I'm gonna go entertain somebody because I'm bored, and
Mm,
I pick up this extra baggage and I bring it home with me, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just start dating because I become bored, or I'm in the place of I'm lonely and I no longer want to wait. Um,
mm,
Now that's like torment. It's like mental
mm-hmm,
torment to deal with somebody who is truly not ready, who is still dealing with who may have baby mama drama, who may be you find out that they're out selling drugs or just fresh out the pen and doesn't have a job, and now
Why
you're
you
trying
throwing my
to.
dating life out there?
Oh,
Stop it.
oh, I'm so sorry. But
Like,
just having this extra load that you're having to carry, like I'm in a place of healing, I'm in a place of restoration, I'm in a place of like I'm ready to move forward. So to have someone come in and say, well, I'm not ready to move forward, I'm unsure as to who I am, I'm unsure where I'm going, I'm unsure of my purpose, you're going to slow the process. You're
exactly.
going to slow the process. You're going to delay the
You're
process.
gonna hold me back. You're
You're
gonna
gonna
hold
hold me
me back.
back. And the thing about it is that and me being me, you, you're not gonna hold me back. You're gonna be left because I'm gonna walk away.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
so let's not entangle ourselves in things that don't matter. Let's not entangle ourselves with individuals or people that just they're not ready for us. They're not ready. To know your standard, have your standard. And as we were talking about when we began the show,
Boundaries and standards. Yeah.
we were talking about earlier about how God has blessed us with so many things, and imagine being with someone who who comes into your world, and they're like, wow, you have all of this, and you
Mm.
don't have a man. You're this successful, and you've been single, and you're this successful, and then they have that intimidation. Like
Mm.
what you worried about, what you afraid of. So that's just not. I just feel like that's not what God is calling us to. I believe we should wait
Mm-mm.
and just allow Him to bring that one that He has for us to us.
Girl, when I tell you, I hear you because the one thing that I've learned over the last 3 years is I didn't know how powerful I was because apparently I'm pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I think I'm like this sweet person over here, and everybody's like, "You're so intimidating," and I'm okay with being intimidating. I've come into that, right? But if a man is intimidated by you, it's because he questions himself, not
Hmm.
because he questions you.
Right.
And that ain't the person for you. Because the person for me is really gonna be. We've talked about this before. Is really gonna be that person that comes along and we mold and we make a strong connection, and where he is weak I am strong, and where I'm weak he is strong, because
Hmm.
that's how God intended it to be. He All our relationships are like that. He never intended it to be like like this or like this or like this. He intended us to come together and mold together. And we can say that about husbands, we can say that about friendships, because I know we've talked about, me and you, our friendship, you know where we come together and we mold like that. So when you have somebody that isn't for you, you're not molding like that.
Yeah.
They ain't making you a better version of you, and not that they could make you a better version of you. They ain't adding to you, right? I
Hmm.
like the expression I heard a couple years ago. It's like, if you don't heal from the wounds that someone else created, you're gonna bleed on someone who didn't hurt you.
Mm.
I don't want to bleed on anybody. I want to be completely ready.
Right.
And I know we ain't never gonna be 100% ready, right? But I want to be as ready as I can be, as ready as God wants me to be, to walk into this relationship with knowing that this is the person God has for me. And there's a huge difference in walking to a relationship knowing that this is the person God has for me, and oh, this is somebody to kill my time. Because let me tell you, Satan will send distractions, and they look good. He don't send no distractions. He
That's a
don't
fact.
send no distraction that's like over here, like looking a hot mess. He sends those distractions that you like, Lord, 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 Lord.
Girl, and I love a man that can cook. So like, if I find out
Stop
you can
it.
cook, like, we're winning. We're winning. And I'd be like, okay, Lord, help me to focus. Cause I mean, I saw my distractions. They be like, I know you want to eat. I'm like, you know how to cook? What can you cook? You gonna feed me, girl? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was dating this one guy, and he had invited me over for dinner. So I was just like, well, what are you gonna cook? He's like, well, what do you want? You want some salmon or you want some chicken thighs? Well, I don't eat no chicken thighs. So I was like, well, let's just do some salmon. He's like, okay. And then he's like, I'll come up with some sides. I got over there. He had the lemon on the salmon. He had some asparagus. He had this rice. I'm talking, he had came and set my little tray up for me and set the table. And we had some said grace. And I was like, this is real good. Girl bit the first piece of the fish and was like, filet mignon. I love it. Look, I know they don't filet mignon. I'm just saying, it was just so good. I was just like, okay. Ate this asparagus and it was just perfect. And I was just like, man, like you up here cooking and doing it up. And I was like, okay, Lord, your child's getting a little bit weak and doing exercise right. So I'm like, man, this food real good. I appreciate this meal. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Oh, did you want to watch a movie? There go the devil, trying to lure me in. I said, well, no, not this time. I just figured we were just, gonna just do dinner and that was it. He was just like, well, let's just stay a little while and let's just chit chat. And you know how men try to get all close to you and you try to chit chat and he's like, okay, well, I'm like, well, why you gonna get close if we just having a conversation? You can't slide over. Oh, well, I just figured it'd be more that's my cue to go ahead and leave. No, then you out of control. Now, because and I believe that, when it comes down to dating, setting that standard, having that standard set to where this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, this is my focus. And if you try to bring me down off of those things, I'm gonna dismiss you. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Listen,
Because eventually the longer we entertain the enemy, what is he gonna do? He's gonna keep trying to come and prance on us and prance on us and
yeah.
prance on us. But the word of God tells me
Listen,
that if I resist the devil, he will flee. So therefore, the only way I can remain in temptation or under temptation is by entertaining the enemy. Is by sitting here allowing the enemy to lure me in. Because the more and more I allow myself to be distracted off this good cooking, this good conversation, this you opening my doors, pulling the chair out, you holding hands, saying grace, you gonna go buy me this and buy me that. I'm gonna be we just get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker, and we find ourselves where we shouldn't be. That's a
hmm
fact. But
listen. I grew up hearing, like uh, Satan can't hear you, right? They can't hear your thoughts. They don't know all this and that, yada yada. I'm gonna tell you that's a lie.
somebody said
Satan
same thing your
knows.
thoughts.
Yeah, so Satan knows that your weakness, what your weakness is. Yours is cooking, right? Um,
Just wanna
he knows that, so he gonna bring it to the front and be like, "Hey, look what I got for you. Look what I got. This
leave
this
that
is
plate to
perfect."
go.
Listen, I've come to the realization that the way it works is Satan will give you almost perfect.
That's a fact, almost.
He'll give you almost everything you want. But God's gonna give you more than you ever imagined.
That's good
God's
right
gonna
there.
God's gonna give you something that you never even thought of, but you needed and wanted, and you desired, didn't even know you desired it.
Mm,
God's gonna bring someone into your life that is gonna fill you completely where you're supposed to be filled. But He's not gonna bring someone to your life that is gonna invite you over to the house to cook dinner and then let's go watch a movie, because we all know where that leads. Let's not
uh-huh.
pretend.
Mm-hmm.
The person that's gonna be for me ain't gonna do that, because he's gonna respect me,
That's
and
right.
he's gonna say, you know what, I think I'd like to cook dinner for you, but how about I cook it and we meet at a park, or we
Yeah.
go on a picnic, and we're not in a place that would be tempting to us,
Yeah.
because that's not of God.
Yeah.
Now, at the same token, I got to be able to resist that too,
Yeah.
because I got to be able to say no. I'm not going to tempt this man into doing something that isn't of God,
That's
right?
good.
Because we as women, we can be tempting.
Yeah.
Like we can, Proverbs talks about a what is it, a promiscuous woman as being like the one that'll take you down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be the woman that takes someone down. I want to be the woman that raises someone up.
Right.
So I got to be careful in my own right, because I know how I am, and I know that I need somebody that's gonna be like, "Hey, this ain't right. We gonna
Yeah,
take a
it's like
step
a hold
back."
you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember being in like third or fourth grade, me and my friends we were like, what kind of things do you want in your husband when you get older? third or fourth grade, sitting here writing down the qualities of a mate. Oh, he has to have big muscles. He has to have he has to be this color. He has to have this kind of hair. He has to wear these kind of shoes. He has to have this kind of job. And if we think about it, like that's really vain. And some of us, some grown people, still have those same kind of desires in a mate. He has to work here. He has to look like this and do this and act like this and not really act like, but their focus is like the natural.
Hmm.
And
Their focus
like you
isn't
mentioned
in the
earlier,
character.
yeah, but like you mentioned earlier, like what's his main character like? He may have a good paying job, but he might be rude and dismissive. He might have a whole bunch of money, but he may spend it on a whole bunch of alcohol and drugs. He may have a
Hmm.
whole bunch of
Or other women.
he might be real fine and have a whole bunch of ladies, that not just chasing him, but he's entertaining them. Because I believe that,
Hmm.
when you look nice, people gonna look, they're gonna try to chase all those things, but then that goes back to your standard, being able to say, I'm not like that. That's not how I operate, and then dismiss them. Like, you gotta go because you're being disrespectful. Girl, I have a whole bunch of dating stories. I was dating this one dude and he was like, I mean, when I say he was fine, girl, just fine. And he was light skin, 'cause I like reindeer. Light skin with the pretty hair, with the big mud, the same, the same attributes I was just, describing. That's what he was.
The fourth
I'm
grade
just like,
description.
I'm like, okay, well, he look real good. This is my type right here. And so he had went, Sarah, what's all
I told you I was in a hotel.
that? So we went out to lunch one day. And I said, how do you do with the whole? I can't remember what words I used, but basically with the attention from the women. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you handle that? He was like, when I'm with somebody, I shut that down. Like, I don't play that. Like, I'm committed. I'm faithful. I'm with one person. That's me right there. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this same dude that told me this how he operate. He appeared to be into me in a sense, and we weren't necessarily dating. I was kind of like entertaining him, and so one day, him and I, we went and we hung out, and then that same evening, I had went out with my friends, and I looked up and I was just like, "Is this the same man coming through the door with another woman at the same place that we were at with my friends?" I was like, okay, this is that same guy who told me that basically he's a faithful type dude. Now I'm not saying he was my dude, but I'm just like,
I'm gonna
if,
stop you
if,
right
you, if
there.
you taking me out
If
and
we,
doing stuff like that, you entertaining me. So why are you entertaining me if you supposed to be with somebody else? But you say you don't do stuff like that. I'm a little bit confused.
mm, so
So
I was gonna say I'm gonna stop you right there because if you talking to me, you talking to me. You ain't talking to nobody else. If I'm talking to you, we talking. That means you ain't entertaining nobody else because you ain't got time to entertain nobody else when you talking to me.
that's
I'm
a
the full
fact.
time entertainment.
Well, I'm not
Oh,
gonna
you
lie.
don't want to
You
enter?
talking to me, you got plenty of time to entertain somebody else. So I'm not really entertaining you that much. That's
Well, you're right, but you know what I mean. You
no,
know what I
that's
mean. I expect you to be on call 24/7 because when I text you, I want to text back. I
yeah,
don't want to wait 5 hours for it. Now, there's situations I understand. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
like you say, I say, "What are you doing?" And you say, "Oh, I'm just sitting here watching TV." And I text you, "You won't text me back for 5 hours." We got issues.
Let me tell you what my son did,
Cause
girl. So he
what he
has
do?
he has this little friend girl, and he's like, she takes his phone, and he'd be like, put the phone down. I'm like, you're not gonna respond. I'm gonna let her wait a little bit. Why? I'm just, I don't want to feel like, I want to jump every time she sends me a message. I'm like, you know what? They start this early. This is the mentality early, really. Like, I feel like if you're into somebody and you enjoy
You
someone, how
into
come
him?
you, how come you can't make them feel like, like you matter? Why is that a big deal? What's wrong with that?
But
I don't think nothing's wrong with that.
okay. So like if you into me, then you into me. Like you
That's it.
excited to hear from me, right? You ain't sitting here being like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait 3 days to text her." No. Okay? Cuz 3 days passed, I'm over you.
There's
I
some
done
whole
we done.
it's some whole silly those them whole silly conversations about, oh, well, if you do this that means you thirsty. If you do this that means that you No, it don't. Like who makes this stuff up? Who does this?
Mm-mm. Girl, I don't know. And then my daughter taught me that. Listen, I'm really like I'm probably showing my age right here, but I didn't know what simp was. Right?
Who?
Simp. It's an expression
Like
for
simple?
someone. Uh, okay, but yeah, but it's an expression they use. Right? Okay, I don't feel so old now. But it's an expression they use, like if you're over the top with your affection for somebody, you're always like bending to their will. You're always like um, we called it whooped growing up. That's what I called it growing up, right? Like
Mhm.
you just at their neck at their beck and call, right? So my daughter was teaching me this expression, and she was saying that she's like when you text someone, they text you right back. That's not simp, my child. That's enthusiasm.
That's a
That's how
conversation.
you excited. I want to know you excited to talk to me. I want to know that like those things are wanted. Let me just speak to the men for a minute. Those things are wanted. We want to know that you were into us, and because when you don't text us back, we think you texting one of your other women, and now we got problems. And yes, I'm very well aware that I'm a little psychotic, and that's okay because the man God has me gonna be able to deal with it. But why is that an issue? Why is that something that as
Well, I
society
told
women
you, it's stuff
accept?
like that. This little comments like that. Oh, he's being simp. They're being thirsty. They're being no. Stop. That's not what that means. And I'm gonna be honest,
Mm-mm.
to the ones who not used to somebody chasing after them or looking at them or entertaining them. Now it's one thing if you like, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I, like that begging type situation. To me, that's my idea of thirsty in a sense. But like if you simply good morning, how are you today? Or I respond with the hey, I'm doing great. I hope you have an amazing day. And then later you text me, hey, just checking in and see how things are going. I appreciate that. Can I call you in a few minutes so we can just, so I can hear your voice and we can chit chat? Like, what's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. Now, I don't want to sit on the phone with you all day and have a conversation because I got things to do.
I got so many things to say right now.
We only got 1
Okay,
minute to get in.
listen. There ain't nothing wrong with being open and honest about your expectations in a relationship. And I set it forth. Like if I start talking to somebody, this is my expectations. They don't meet those expectations. I'm like, hey, yo, I told you my expectations, didn't I? All right, that's warning number one because I already told you my expectations. And this may sound crass or mean or whatever, but let me tell you what: a tiger don't change his stripes. So if you can't meet my expectations when we first dating, you ain't meeting them when we've been in it for a minute.
Yeah, it's a fact.
These are my expectations, and I put them out there. Hey, listen, I'm not a stage 5 clinger. I'm not a psycho for texting you and wanting a text back. Now, if you tell me you at work or you busy or whatever, I can accept that.
Hmm.
But don't sit here and just. I tell you what, last dude I dated, I'm gonna give you a really good example. We had decided that we were gonna meet up about 8:30 at a restaurant,
At
and he had
night?
told me, "Hey, yeah, don't do that, don't do that." Um, we were waiting on the kids to go to sleep, like the littles to go to sleep because he had an older two, and so mine and him went to sleep, and I was like, "All right, I'm on my way," and he's like, "Okay." I didn't get a response until about 9:30, and I'd been sitting at the bar, or well, yeah, I'd been sitting at the bar. Um, no, anyway, not the point. At the restaurant. Um, I don't want you judging me. So I've been sitting there for an hour waiting to hear from this guy. He gonna text me and be like, "Oh, hey, these kids still ain't asleep. Could wait, hold up. Did they?" And I literally responded with, "Did they take your phone? Like, is there a problem here? Like, were they watching Netflix or something? Like, I don't understand."
Yeah,
Ain't
that's
heard from the man since. Ain't heard from the man since. Want to know why? Because I called him out.
yeah,
These are my expectations.
yeah,
I don't understand it, my friend.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna use a different term. I think we should have standards, not expectations. Expectations is more of the lines of be here at 8. Expectations are more of lines of put the trash out. Those expectations, but I think we should have standards, dating standards for what it looks like to be with me. So respect me, love me,
But
like Christ
but
loved
if
the
you
church.
don't if you don't tell them what that looks like to you, like if you're not respect me, okay, I need you to respect me as a person. I need you to respect my time. I need you to understand that respecting that I'm a busy person. If you don't set those, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about standards too, but I'm also talking about this is what this means to me. And I'm not talking about like this is your first date, right? But like,
Mhm,
hey, this is what I expect. This is my standard. You can say it either way.
mhm.
Sorry. I didn't mean to shut you up. My bad.
No, you're fine. I still just feel like like a standard is more along the lines of it's a standard is more general. Expectations are more exact, in my opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
I expect you to open my door. I expect you to. So, I mean, when we get down to expectations like that, like those little small things, is that gonna make or break our relationship? Is that gonna make or break what we have going on because you didn't open the door? Oh, this is the end because you didn't open the door. That's some nonsense. Like, but are you being respectful? Are you coming in at a decent hour? Are you when I ask for your support, do you show your support? So we have to, I think personally, we need to let go of those little tiny things. And that's something that I've learned in the years of dating. That like when I narrow things down to this nitty-gritty, that's when I find myself angry and frustrated because everybody ain't gonna take the block. They just not going to. But if you feel like if I have to have you take the trash out, then I need to express that. Y'all heard my little baby that came downstairs.
Hey Rachel, we're 3 minutes over.
So we're gonna just
But
wrap things up, and I'm gonna let everyone know to not forget to sign up for my Eliminate Distractions workshop. Y'all hear my little baby in the background? He's like, "Mama, get up! It's past the hour." Eliminate Distractions workshop, and it begins on the 12th of April. It is free, and for those who sign up now, you get what handsome. Okay, I'm coming. I'm just coming. For those who sign up now, you get access to the workbook for free, and after that, you'll be responsible for paying for the workbook, as well as remember to order my book. But I'm distracted, and it is available
good
on
book.
my website for $2.99. Is there any closing comments or remarks?
No. I thought this was really good. I'm actually late from my final session from my seminar. So y'all have a wonderful week. We will see y'all back here on Saturday morning. Are we changing the time this next week?
I haven't put the poll out. We'll figure this thing out. So
Okay.
I'll keep everybody
All right.
posted.
All right. Sounds good. Y'all have a great week.
All right, bye
Blessings.
everybody.